So we'll move on to the next operations. So we make this a little bit bigger so we can see the whole thing. I put the operator into parentheses for you, so you can see what thing you need to do to make the operation work. So for addition, it's plus. For multiplication, it's that little asterisk thing. Shift 8 will get it for you, unless you have a separate number pad. Some computers don't, mostly laptops do not have that. There's division, subtraction, and exponent, which is Shift 6. So those are your operators. So if we want to do multiplication, we go A3 equals, because we're doing a formula, A3 multiplied by C3. Easy peasy. Now division, much the same. We use the little division. That was strange. Why can't I divide? It's in English. Okay, very strange. Equals. Now, what we can do is also, we don't need to write in the cell reference all the time. We can just use our arrow keys. So I'm going to do that, divided by, good, it worked, that. So that was just all with the arrow keys. It's a lot faster than typing in the digits, because it's just 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Those are the numbers I want to work with. So subtraction is much the same way. Equals 3 to the right gets me to A5 minus that one there. Boom, done. And exponent equals that to the power of that. Should be 8. Hey, we got there. So that's pretty nifty. That's some basic mathematical operations. So here's a big table. Let's do all of them. Oh, this video is going to drag on for a bit, isn't it? Equals that one plus that one. Subtraction equals that one minus that one. Equals that one multiplied by that one. Equals that one divided by that one. To the power equals that one to the power of that one. Mod. Now, mod is an interesting thing. You might not have come across it before, but if you remember back in, I think it's about year 6 math, stage 3 math, you do the remainder after division. So when you're first learning how to do division, you'll say, I have 3 apples and I want to divide it equally into 2 groups. That means that each person gets 1 apple and there is 1 apple remaining. The mod gives you the remainder after division. So that is equals mod, open bracket, this is our first real function, number and divisor. So if I have 3 apples and I need divided by 2 people, the number would be 3 and the divisor would be 2. So mod is that one, comma, that one. The remainder is 4, because 6 does not divide into 4 any times. Average. This is going to be our next one. Equals average. And we want to go number 1, comma, number 2. With this one, you can also go equals average. And you can use your mouse to select a bunch. So we can select all of these, and it's going to get the average of all of those numbers. The average number is 8.282609. Now, median. This is from our stage, better be stage 4 math. Median. When we start to do descriptions of central tendency. So we type in median. That's not really going to be very useful. Mode is going to be completely useless here because there is no most frequent thing, so it's just going to take the average. It should just be the average. Mode. No, not mod. Mode. Should just be 5. Not applicable. Alright. Totally going to take that out of the other one. Min. So this is going to give us the lowest value. Open bracket. So over here, you got this. Shift. Gets both of them. Smallest value is 4. Equals max. It's going to give us the highest value. Equals sum. This is going to work just like addition, but this is going to work like 4 plus 6. But if we add in more, it's going to add them all up, which is why it's helpful. But we only want to do 4 plus 6. Excellent. Now, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 20 lines to go. Addition equals, I'm kidding. I'm going to show you a really nifty trick. So what we can do is we can highlight all of these cells with our different formulas in them. And what we can do is, you see here there's a little black box. It's not in any of the other corners. It's only in the bottom right hand corner. If you double click that, it'll go all the way down. I don't want it to go all the way down because I've got some more formulas down there. I only want it to go down to the blue part. And there you go. It has added up all the numbers in these columns. So if you go here, F19, and that's in row 19. Subtraction, subtracted all of the numbers. Multiplication, multiplied all the numbers. Division, can't divide by 0. So that one didn't work. Division, can't divide by 0. Division, can't divide by 0. Turns out that's a little bit of a problem in mathematics. To the power of, and we've got some big numbers here, to the power of 12, so that's trillion. 64, tiny. So that one changes a lot. The modulus after division, still can't divide by 0. We've got 0 here. What line is that? Because 2 divides into 20 evenly, so there's nothing remaining. 0, 4 goes into 8, 1 goes into 16. Perfect. Average, there's our averages, there's our medians, there's our smallest numbers out of them, there's our biggest numbers, and there's the numbers put together. But let's show us doing a whole bunch of numbers together. Equals average. Average of all of those numbers is 8.625. And we'll average all these numbers out, all of these different columns. Why is that divided by 0? It's because these are in there. Remove these. These errors are going to give us a bit of a thing. We know why the errors are there, and later I'll show you a fancier way of doing it. Still dividing by 0. There it is. I'll show you a fancier way of doing it later. Equals median. And we're going to get the median of all of these numbers. Median is 9. And we'll just click and drag it over. There's the median of everything. We're not going to bother with mode since that didn't work properly. I'm sure there is a way. If you really want to know the mode, just send me a message on YouTube and I'll figure out how to do it for you, but nobody ever really wants to know the mode, do they? Now, the minimum value. Minimum. And I'm sure if you really want to know the mode, there's other YouTube videos which specifically do the mode. The minimum number of all of these is 0, except for that one, -12. Less than 0. equals max. So if you wanted to do it by just typing in, you would see here the 5 is in F, roll across here, 25. So you want to go F25, F25. Now a little semicolon thing, it's right next to the L. Unless you've got a Spanish keyboard, which I do, in which case it's Enya, but I changed it over to English, so it's where the Enya is. So F2, close parentheses, 20. And that's the same as clicking and dragging or pressing shift and going across them. Fill them all in. Beautiful. And sum is going to give us the total of all of those numbers. F25 semicolon F2. Done. Beautiful. Now, did you think that was going to take me a long time? Because it really didn't. And that's our mathematical operations. We learnt some cool little functions. We got an introduction into some nice little functions. You can practice these all you want in your own time. You know, if you want to practice, these basic functions, min, max, it doesn't take much. It's just very simple. Equals whatever your function is, function, and there's even a whole list. You just type in something and it's like, In fact, there's even a little function thing that I don't really use much. So, is that a function calculator somewhere? Not sure. I might edit that bit out. Might not. There is a function thing built in there. It's probably in the help button. It tells you everything. But now we're going to move on to a slightly more advanced topic. Even though it looks easier, this looks like a very easy thing, and it is pretty easy to get your head around, but a bit more difficult in the application. So these are data types. So when we have a computer and we're thinking about how the computer thinks, we have in Excel a type called general, and that's not really used in any other programming. It's just Excel because Excel is a pretty smart program, and it tries to anticipate what people who don't really know about programming, it tries to anticipate what they mean and what they kind of want to happen. No other programming languages really try and have a guess at what you're saying. It just says, you didn't tell me the correct instructions, I'm not going to work. Excel tries to have a crack at it, so that's general. 7 is a general, you can have 25 is a general, you can have a mix of, that would be a character in a lot of other languages. You can have a mix between letters and numbers and full text. You can have anything you want as a general. General. Now, numbers. In some other languages, they differentiate numbers. They do in Excel too. But you won't really be able to tell the difference until you get to the next lesson where we delve into the developer tab. But at the moment, just assume that numbers are pretty much the same, but computers really do differentiate between integers. So an integer is a number, whole numbers less than 0, 0, and numbers greater than 0. But whole numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. The other type of number is decimal, and they're decimals. You know what decimals are. So those are numbers, and they treat them differently. Excel has a cool thing where it does date. It can tell you the date, but if you change the format, you can change the format of a thing manually. It will try and guess, but you can change it manually. So if you do this, you right click on it, and it's formatted as date. If we format it as a number, it's going to come up 4,000 and something. 40,000. Because it's that many days since the 1st of January, the year 1900. You can change it so it calculates it from 1902, which helps with time formatting. Don't even ask me why. I think it's something to do with leap years, but don't worry about it. So this is just a number, and that's how it's able to differentiate between when you try and do some calculations with time and date. It puts everything into a digital thing. So it had after the decimal 0.00, and that means it's at the 12 midnight. If you put in 0.25, that will be 1/4 of the way through the day. So if there's 24 hours in a day, that's 6 a.m. 0.25 is 6 a.m. and 0.5 is midday. There is 43,497 days between whatever date it was and the 1st of January 1900. Time is done in somewhat of a similar way. So you can go format cells, and that's in custom, but time is up here too. Time, it wouldn't make any difference. It changes it to that format, but 1500, it knows what you're talking about. Format cells, if we go to number, it's going to come up with 0.63, and that's what, press Control Z, 0.63. 3 o'clock is 0.63 through a day. So that's that little thing there. Now, a string. This is going to become important when we get to if functions, which is another couple. It's actually the next tab. If you have something in quotation marks, it is treated, this is exactly a word. And this hello has quotation marks. It only does the things within the quotation marks. So if you put a space here, that's a different word. And it will not be able to logically say that hello there and hello here, even though to you and me it looks exactly the same, or except for the fact it's got 3 L's. Sensitive keyboard, and it's not uppercase. There we go. They look exactly the same to us because we're humans, but this one is 1 character longer. It's got a space, and it doesn't see a space as any different to a letter. So you need to be careful, especially when you're doing functions that involve, doing an if on a text or string. It doesn't like it very much. Boolean is a different kind of variable. You won't see it in the, you don't see it here. If you go into the format cells, you won't see Boolean. I don't think. No, you don't see Boolean. Boolean is a type of logic where it's either true or false. True or false are the only things. 1 or 0. And that goes into the computer's memory. So when it's compiling and having some information go through it, it'll go through, this is true, I'll give that a 1. This is false, I'll give it a 0. And that works really well with the if functions that we're going to jump right into now. Alright, so here we have our logic tab. And this is some Boolean variables. True, 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 false, false, true, false, false. So these are logic gates. We're running through a lot of content very quickly here. So if you're struggling, please, please, please pause the video, take your time, go back, replay. We started very basic and we're going ahead at a rate of knots. So, AND is another function. AND. Open bracket. Logical 1, comma, logical 2. Close bracket. Alright, and that'll come up true. This one is true. And this one is true. Therefore, our answer is true. Before I do that, this one is true and this one is false. Are both of them true? No. So the answer is going to be false. This one's false, this one's true. Are both of them true? No. It's going to be false. This is false, this is false. This is going to be false. That's how an AND gate works. It only comes up true if all of the inputs are true. So everything that goes into it. I could have another column here and it'd be true, 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 and the answer would be true. True, true, false. If I had another column, then the answer would be false. Because as soon as there's one false, the AND gate, the AND logic function will return false. Not all of these things are true. OR is a little bit different. OR, it looks at all of the things that go into it and it says, are any of them true? Is a single one of them true? Well, the answer is yes, in this one, that one, and that one. Well, yeah, both of them are true. Therefore, at least one of them is true. And you go to this one. True, false. What do you think? Are at least one of them true? One of them's true. False, true. True, true. And this last one is false or false. Either of them true. No, neither of them are true. So that's going to come up as false. So how do we use these? Well, we use it in if functions. Because we need to know, we want to tell the computer, if this thing is true, give me this result. So if 7 is equal to 9, then return true. If not, return false. False. Because 7 is not equal to 9. That's not true, that's false. If 7 is equal to 7, then return true. If not, return false. Well, 7 is equal to 7, so we will return true. And that's true. And there it is. That's the formula. If 7 equals 9, 7 is equal to 9, return true. True. If not, return false. False. It's that easy. And you can make the things more complicated. I'll write that out again for you. So it equals if. That's the kind of function we want. Open bracket. The logical test. The logical test. Is 7 equal to 9? Logical test. 7 equals 9. Comma. Next thing we want to do. Value if true. If 7 is equal to 9, value is true. Let's put in a string type variable from the last one. I broke math, or the computer is silly. And quotation mark. You've got to put quotation marks in, otherwise it'll read it as something and it just sort of won't work. Quotation marks is put in this exact word into the answer. And then comma. Value if false. We'll just put in the false. Returns the logical value false. And that's false. So I could have put anything into that true thing, wouldn't have come up. It's just false. And you could do the same thing here. If, open bracket, 7 equals 7, comma, math. Did I put a quotation mark? I did. Math works. And so do computers. And quotation mark. Comma. Quotation mark. Does not matter. This will not show. Quotation mark. And parenthesis. And hey, look, math works and so do computers. But this is all well and good when we have basic things, but I mean, we can work this out quicker. But we have a big thing here, and I don't want to work out all of these things. So what I've got here is a hypothetical football team. And they want to know that if they win a game, how much did they win by? And when they lose, how much did they lose by? But they don't want to know the average of everything because, well, I don't know why. I'm not really a sports person, but they just want to know. They want to know when they win, do they win by a lot? And when they lose, do they lose by a lot? Maybe they win by, maybe their for and against is, really, really good. But they've lost a whole bunch of games. And that'd be because they win a couple games by 50 goals, but they lose every other game in the season. I'm not a sport person. Equals. So we want to know if, alright, so our team, if that team, you win in sport, you win in sport ball when your logical value, when your team has more points than the other team. So if our team score, move that out of the way, F6 is our team score. If F6 is greater than other team, we win the game. So we want to know the winning margin. So the value if true, the margin is our score minus their score. Value if false, we're going to put in, I'm going to move my little thing so you can see it. So just like before, where we put in the actual words into the quotation marks, we're going to put in quotation marks, but we're not going to put anything in it. We're just going to have 2 quotation marks, and that means that when it comes through, it's going to return absolutely nothing. And absolutely nothing is going to be the answer when we lose. And then we close it off. And that game we won. And we won by 2 points. We lost that game, so it's not going to return anything. We won that game, and we won by 3 points. It's going to return 3, and you get the gist. So those are the games we won, and that's how much we won by. So the losing margin equals if, open bracket, the other team's score is strictly greater than our score. So their score is greater than our score. Value if true equals the other team's margin minus our team's score. And the value if false is just going to be the empty parentheses. No, empty quotation marks rather. And that's it. And well, we lost that game, so it didn't return anything. And boom, there we go. That's our losing margin. So here, we want the score. If we won by equals average. Whoops, misspelled that. Average. The average of, I just use the keys here, up and shift. If we won by an average of 2.1 goals. And we just click and drag. And if we lost by an average of 2.14 goals. So when we lose, we tend to lose by a bit more. But there's a bit of an outlier here. I'm not going to do too much statistical analysis on this team. Because it was literally just a random number generator. Quick little thing, I copy and pasted the real values in there. But I put them in there initially by going random between, and then I put in the number 1, comma, I think I put in the number 0 rather. Random number between 1 and 100. And boom, there's 85, and you click on it again and it'll give you another random number. So that's how you get a random number. That's how I got those numbers. I just picked a number between 0 and 5. And boom. So there's another cool little function for you. Text manipulation. Now this one's very, very, I think it's cool, but most people think it's dull. You probably think I'm dull. I make videos like this. What are you going to do? So, if you want right, you take the right hand letters from this thing. So if I have, say I've got someone's address and it's all in, I've got like 1,000 people's addresses and it's all in the format, I come from a town called Woy Woy and it's Woy Woy, New South Wales 2256. But I want all of the postcodes to be in a different column. So it's Woy Woy, New South Wales 2256 and there's Gosford, New South Wales 2250. And I just want the postcodes to be over there. So I want the right 4 digits. Equals right, open bracket, this one, comma 4. And that's going to give you the right hand 4 digits. And if you missed what I did there, equals right. So equals right, A2, comma 4. So it takes the right 4 digits of cell A2 and brings them here. Left does the same thing. Left, text, and I want 4 digits. So that's that. 4 digits. Now, I came up with how. And that's because in here, there is actually a space. And a space counts as a letter in computers. Now, this one's cool. This is len. Len, open bracket, and you don't need to specify the number because it comes out as a number. So that tells me that there is 28 characters in that string. All of that. If you count it 1, 2, 3, 4, many, 5, 6, 7, 8, space, 9, letters, 10, blah, 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 28. 28 to the end. Now, this can be really cool if you have fake email address at domain.com. Alright, say you wanted to separate out the domain.com and the fake email address aspect, I've done this before when I had a big list of email addresses, and someone who was doing the data entry had a lot of spelling errors, and some of the domains were wrong. It's like we still know what the email address is, but they were at Gmail or Hotmail, not Hotmail. They just missed out the H, and it was just obvious spelling error. I could separate them out by that. So, what we want to do is we want to go equals len open bracket that one. Alright, so that's 28 characters long. Now, what we can do is we can go equals find. Alright, find text. So we put in quotation marks. We want to find the @ because that's one thing that defines an email address, is it has an @. Technically not the definition, but every email address has one. Within that text, and we'll close it off. Starting number, we'll just shift it where you start from, but this we want to start from the beginning, so we don't need to add anything there. So it's 18 characters in is where the @ is. So what we want to do is, we're just going to copy that and put it down here. We want to do equals right open bracket text, and the number of characters we want is find open bracket @ in quotation marks. Whoops, I needed to put the comma within text, that text, close parentheses, close parentheses. Oh, I did the wrong one. It's going to be left. Whoops. Doing down from the left. So there's fake email address at. I don't actually want the @ in it. I just want the fake email address portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in here. So this find @ comma A4. That is a number. We know from over here that that's the number 18. And it's within the function left text, comma, number of characters. So we want the number of characters minus 1. And boom, there's fake email address without the @. And now we can do the same thing to find just the domain. So we want to do that by equals right open bracket, because we want the things at the end, which will be the right hand side. We want to find the text find open bracket find text @ within text, find the @ within here. Alright, so that's going to return us the @. But we want to return the number len. Hang on a second, go figure it out again. Return right text, number of characters equals len minus find. Right. The text, that's text A4. A4, comma, find. It's len open bracket A4 minus find. There we go. Alright, I did that a bit too quickly and that was a little bit in my head. I'm sorry. Now, what we're doing here is right. So we're finding the right side of them. And we're finding the right side of this text, A4. Then, we're finding the length of the whole thing, and we're subtracting the @. So it's counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to the @. We're subtracting @ number from A4. So it's so find @ in A4, and we're subtracting that number from the length of the whole thing, And that's how many characters we're going to spit out. Hope that makes sense. So we find the ampersand. It's going to return 18. Then we subtract that from the 28, which is the whole thing. And that's how many characters we're going to get back. We're going to get back 8 characters. So how many characters? That's how many characters we want to have found out from text A4. So text A4, we want to find that many characters. Hopefully you could follow that. If you could follow that, well done, you're doing very good. Now, back to some easy stuff. Easy text manipulation. Upper, open bracket. Mr. Okay, damn it. No, because I didn't spell upper properly. Upper. I apologize, it's quite a terrible keyboard I have here at the moment. So we have upper on Mr. And that just makes everything uppercase. We go across to Mr. Bob Smith. Down to all of these other names, and they're all in uppercase. Now if we want to do lowercase, equals lower. Bob is now lowercase Bob. And all these names are now lowercase. And proper case. They're already in, oh no, this one here, Orengo, is not in proper case. Equals proper, open bracket, surname, Smith, down to Orengo. So lowercase makes everything lower, uppercase makes everything uppercase. Proper makes the first letter uppercase and everything else lowercase. So if we were to put this one back over, make everything uppercase, equals proper, open bracket, in here, and across 3, and then down. Everything would be formatted nice and perfectly. Now the last somewhat tricky thing, I think we're just going to copy, and over here we're going to paste values. Pasting values, when you have something that's in a formula, you usually want to paste values, and it'll get rid of all the formulas and it'll just like stay hard the way that it is. So now that's in there, we can delete these. So these things are no longer formulas. These are literally just Bob, Jane, Mrs. Rachel Adlington. She's a pretty nice lady. She might pass me on the subject. Senor, Senorita, Juan, Maria, Ramirez, Arango. And then we get to another cool thing, which is called concatenate. So concatenate is pretty cool. It brings words together. So it's like mushing a bunch of different cells together. If all the cells are, they can actually be numbers too. Cells, letters, numbers, anything. So it equals concatenate. It's alright if you don't remember that word, because I'm going to show you an easier way to do it in a second. And that will come out with Mr. Bob Smith with no spaces. Yay! That's alright, we can fix it. Concatenate. Concatenate. Text 1. Mrs. Alright, our next text is just going to be a space. But we need to do it in the quotation marks, otherwise it won't understand it. Text 3. Jane. Comma. Another space. Comma. Smith. Ah, Mrs. Jane Smith comes out very nice. Now, for the easier way, so, I mean, concatenate's a weird word, whoever uses it except for programmers, equals this one, ampersand, quotation mark, ampersand, that's a dollar sign, ampersand, quotation mark, space, quotation mark, and dollar sign again, ampersand, Adlington. What did I do wrong there? Oh, I didn't put it an ampersand. Got to put another one in there, because we're going straight from a... You have to put an ampersand in between everything. So in here we have H4 and a space, and I4, and a space, and J4. Otherwise it doesn't know what to do with the two of them. And you put them together, and you got the beautiful Mrs. Rachel Adlington, which is fantastic, and that's much easier than trying to use the concatenate function. It's just a bit pointless. And you double click and it goes down. You've got Miss Suzanne Hunter, Sir Robert Menzies, Ma'am Elizabeth Reynolds, Senor Juan Ramirez, and Senorita Maria Mango. And that's pretty much how you do text functions. Pretty handy. Now, time. Time is really useful. I think Excel is just the best way to do day planning, that kind of thing. It's absolutely fantastic. So, hours worked. If we start work at 8 o'clock, we have our lunch break at 12, we start back at work at 1 o'clock, and then we finish at 5. Our hours worked, 5 minus 8. That's going to give us our whole day. And then we need to take out our lunch break. Minus, so 1 o'clock minus the 12 o'clock. That's not too large, it should be 8. Equals. Let's put it in parentheses. Maybe it's having an issue with parentheses. The order of operations. So that one minus that one. So that should be our whole workday minus this one minus this one, which is our lunch break. Yeah, better put that in parentheses just because I would not want it to bugger up again on me. Minus that one. Beautiful. 8 hours. That sounds about a pretty standard workday. And that pretty much tells you that. When I was working shift work, I had a similar program to this, and had it so that it calculated the hours that I worked, the penalty rates that I got, shift allowances, all that sort of stuff just came through automatically. So I was able to go to my boss, you didn't pay me enough, or if he overpaid me, I didn't say anything. It'll also help if you're a person doing the timesheets. If you can get really good at Excel, you can pretty much replace a lot of programs that are super expensive. Now we have the now function. I know, I'm funny. So we have the now function, and this has nothing in the parentheses, because what it does is it just literally comes out with the today's date. I'm doing this, if you look down here, on the 29th of the 5th, 2019. Maybe doing it a little bit late. I've only got 4 days to submit this. My bad. My birthday is on the 11th of the 3rd, 1992. Days until my birthday, well, that's the date of my birth. My birthday will be in 2020, will be my next birthday. Days until my birthday equals my birthday, which is in the future, minus the day now. There is 286.3854501 days until my birthday. I don't think that's true anymore. I think we're moving ahead in time, and if I press enter on that, yeah, it's changed. It brings up the exact time to the second. So that number will never be the same again. It'll keep shifting because we keep going forward in time. Time is linear. Not heard of a compelling argument otherwise. But we can also, if we want to change the question, we can put in the year of my birth, 11992, at 1992. And I am, it gives us a negative number because now it's in the past, I am 9,940.614998 days old, which is a cool little thing. Let's go back to that one. Now, all that's well and good, but your boss might ask you to make it a bit prettier when you get into work. So what we're going to do is use the text function. Text function is really cool. So we're going to use this value. And we're going to format it as, so that's what these things up the top here are. If you're writing it from scratch, in here you go DDDD and close parentheses, and you'll find out. I got that right. What's the matter there? That's a full stop, not an apostrophe. Not an apostrophe, no comma. Has to be a comma. Today is in fact a Wednesday, which is, I don't know, pretty dull. It's just a Wednesday. But it's pretty cool when you got when we've got an example coming up in the next lesson. Very helpful, very very helpful in the future. And you can do it in other formats. So if you want, because that has the date, the day, the time, everything is built into that number. So you can go equals text, open bracket, this value. And we want to format it in a way that it comes out with day, day, month, month, year, year, year. And I didn't put the close parentheses there. What? Year, year, year. 2019. 29th of the 5th, 2019. We can also equals text and get just the hour. Wish I knew how to write a formula. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Equals text. And we can go comma, quotation mark, HH, MM, and quotation mark. Hopefully I'll get this one correct the first time. And it is 2:48. Hey, look at that, it sure is. And minute, minute. Now, minute, minute equals text. I'm just going to do these ones a bit quicker. Equals text, equals text. And you just write it as it is in the screen above. MM and quotation mark and parentheses. Equals text, open bracket, comma, open, what have I got there? HH, MM, SS, and quotation mark. Excellent. Equals text, open bracket, no, I, equals text, open bracket, this one here, comma, D space DD of MMMM Y at HH semicolon MM semicolon SS. That doesn't look pretty standard at all, but I will tell you that it's Wednesday the 29th of May 2019 at 14:49:37. I put this one in here to kind of show you that you don't need to be perfect. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of all of the different ways that Excel uses this function. It's very intuitive, and if it just comes up with something that doesn't work, just try again. It's super logical, and it just kind of figures everything out. Yeah, it's pretty handy. And that looks like a lovely format. So just work out what format you want and just try stuff. 2 Ds will give you the date, multiple Ds will give you the day, 2 M's will give you the May is the 5th month, so it'll be 05. Multiple M's will give you May. Y. Just 2 Y's will give you 19. I think I buggered up over here and did 3 Y's and it gave you the whole year. So that's good. At just comes through as literally at, and hour, minute, second. Literally anything you want about the time or date, it'll just do it for you. And it is nifty. Next we've got a VLOOKUP. So we're starting to get into some pretty advanced stuff. Hopefully at this stage I haven't lost everyone in the class, and some of you guys are still with me, which would be great. I'm going pretty slow through these stuff. I want you to understand everything, and whatever section you get up to, work on that, and then get up to the next section. Hopefully I can explain things pretty well for you, but if I don't, I'm sorry. So here, what I've got is, I just found a website which gave me some random email addresses. I don't think they're even real names, let alone real email addresses. I think it's just like a random name generator with a couple standard domains. And then I did the same for the names. So, Paige Cumberbatch. That would probably be a female Symbolic at SBC Global. Whatever. They're completely random. And this too was just a random number generator. But these first five, I put these ones in and everything else are random. So here we have a big list of a couple hundred. I think that's like 300. And here we have a much shorter list. But all of these ones are in this big list. So my question is, say we're in a marketing company and we're going to send out an email. But we only want to send out an email to people who, you know, are, say hypothetically these are the female people in our group. And we're bringing out a new line of dresses. We don't want to target the men. We only want to target the females who shop in our store. So this is a list of the females who shop in our store, and this is a list of everyone who shops in our store. But we don't have their names and their first name, last name, or age. We want to find out that information. So we could go through line by line. Going, there's Andrew Clark. Copy, paste the very female name of Andrew Clark, and we'll paste that in there. All right, that's one down. 100 to go. Yeah, we could do that. Or we could use a VLOOKUP and get the whole thing done very, very quickly. So that's where a VLOOKUP is very useful. So VLOOKUP. Too many O's. VLOOKUP. Alright, so we want to look up value. Andrew@gmail.com. And we want to look up that value in this table array. So this is going to be the table. This is basically our big set of data. And the thing that we're looking up has to be in the very first column. And my computer is not working very well. It's not a very good computer, and it's recording this lovely video that you should like and subscribe. Because everyone says that. I don't actually make much YouTube content. This is the first video I'm putting on there. But hey, if this gets like 1 billion views, I'll quit my job and become a streamer. No one gets 1 billion views about Excel. Maybe if it was a cat video, I'd do better. Okay, cool, we're done. So that's my table array. So that's my table. It has all of my information in it, all my data, and I'm going to look up Andrew@gmail.com in this column over here. And look up Andrew.com and find it's in unit number 1. And we want the first name, which is going to be column index number 2. And the last one is range lookup. So this has true or false. So it'll give us, you know, it's if the data is ordered and your data was, say, a number, a serial number, and it was a serial number with like 10 digits, but it was ordered from smallest number to largest number, and you want an approximate match. So you need to get some kind of information. You can go for an approximate match, which would be true. From our logical data type section, you know that the value of true is 1 and the value of false is 0. But I want an exact match. I don't want a slightly different email address, because that would be a completely different person. So I'm going to put in a 0, which is false. You can actually write in false if you like, but equally you can write in true. So there's that. And the first name in there is Andrew. And naturally, as I've showed you 1,000,000 times, you can click and drag everywhere, but oh look, that didn't work. Hang on, I'm going to click and drag it there first, and it won't work. Okay, that worked. But I click and drag it down here, it's not going to work. Not applicable, not applicable. And Susie, Bob, Jane, Juan, those ones worked, but it didn't work. Because that number, I guarantee you it's in there. But if we look carefully at the formula, this is our table now. A23. It's coming down to here. Well, that's because when you click and drag, it drags everything down. And we don't want everything to drag down. We only want, you know, to drag down what we want to drag down. We don't want to drag down the table. So what we need to do is we need to go in here. And when you're clicking and dragging something, there's a nifty little thing you can do, which is $. And you put a $sign on things you don't want to move. So I don't want that table to move at all. And I don't want, $sign, there it is. I don't want the thing that I'm referencing. So it says look up value. I wanted to look up the value of the email address. There might be 10 Andrews in there, and if that moves over one column, then I'll be looking up the value of Andrew, and it'll be giving me the first Andrew. I don't want that to happen. But what I do want to move is this 2, because when I drop it down, I want it to then look up Susie and Bob and whatnot. I don't want it to continue to look up exactly Andrew, otherwise I'm just going to get Andrew everywhere. So there's that. Alright, so now we've got everything done. We'll see that Rosalind will change. That'll become a new name, because Rosalind is the incorrect name. Okay, Rosalind was not an incorrect name. But you find that Innocencia is actually in there. It's not applicable. Tenor is actually in there. It's not applicable. We drag that one across. And then in here, we need to now change it, because we want this to now be column 3, last name. Clark. Beautiful. So these ones, we're looking at this one here, this one here. As you get further down, it's going to be more common to pop up, because they're not in the first bunch. We're going to double click this one, boom, and now they're there. One more, over here. The answer we're looking for is not Clark. Look here, column 4, which will be the age. And there it is, everyone's age. So now we have our lovely target segment for our email, or whatever purpose you want to use a VLOOKUP for. Lots of different purposes. Alright, so that was VLOOKUP, and in our next subject we're going to do big example, which is a big example. It should bring in pretty much all of the ideas that we learnt, and this is a somewhat realish kind of example. I've used it, had to do a very similar thing in my work on a recurring basis. So it's a semi-real life experience. And then in the other one we're going to get slightly into the developer tab, and this one, yeah, pretty complicated. It's full on. But if you followed me to the VLOOKUP, I guarantee you pass most people in the real world. Most people in the real world workplaces will never get to this stage. And yeah, you'll definitely do it. So I hope to see you next time. And this was EDIT 313. I hope to see you in the next lesson where we'll be doing EDIT 415. We'll be doing EDIT 4-1 something. 415. Yeah, we're doing EDIT 415. Alright, excellent. Thank you very much. I'll see you later.